Welcome back to Vibes channel. If you're as passionate about unveiling facts and theories as we are, you're in the right place. Don't miss out on the latest videos and exciting updates. Hit that subscribe button now. Join our growing community of enthusiasts. Together, let's embark on this incredible journey. Subscribe, like, and let's dive into today's topic. Who needs those over-the-top classical stone structures? With their excessive carvings, intricate aerials, colossal columns, and gigantic entryways? Clearly, simplicity and minimalism were just too mainstream for the ancient architects. Because our forefathers just loved a good workout, you know? Forget about modern machinery. Who needs that when you can use your hands and horsepower? Make life unnecessarily challenging with pulleys and levers, pure genius. Why focus on useful municipal or military projects when you can blow resources on intricately decorated monumental architecture? Because nothing says efficiency like extravagant expenses, right? Years back, I delved into the symbolic meaning of monuments and city layouts, exploring why colossal architecture was replicated globally and its potential for harnessing energy. This first clue showed me that the repeating architecture wasn't just random copying, it's all about power. If your city is planned with buildings that attract, collect, and dispense electricity properly, tapping into atmospheric power could be pretty straightforward. Here is ancient tech power setup in 1550 illustration. Remember, we're not discussing the usual wired electricity for regular devices. It's a different, non-modern approach. Antiqui-Tech is all about designing buildings to pull in and distribute the natural static electricity in the air. Known as atmospheric etheric energy AEE, it's like nature's subtle power, whether we acknowledge it or not. Right now, science calls out dark matter to explain this everywhere stuff that regular physics can't quite pin down. Mysterious form of matter that doesn't emit, absorb, or reflect light, making it invisible and undetectable through electromagnetic radiation, despite its significant gravitational influence. Dark matter's exact nature remains unknown, and it doesn't interact with electromagnetic forces, which is why it's termed dark. As it doesn't emit light, it's unknown today, but doesn't seem that our ancestors were an unknown, like we are. The idea is, if we use Antiqui-Tech right, it could gather atmospheric etheric energy to light up buildings, control temperature, and create an energy field that zaps away harmful bacteria. Using my basic understanding of electrical energy, I've come up with the idea that specific building designs could gather refined spiritual energy, creating a healthy, climate-controlled, well-lit space for people inside. To understand how architecture taps into power through atmospheric etheric energy AEE, let's start with places of worship like cathedrals, mosques, and synagogues. They stand out as key structures in a city that could generate a positive energy source. To capture atmospheric etheric energy AEE, the simple plan is to construct a tall tower or a couple of them with aerials. Let's call them Fiddly Bits. These Fiddly Bits, made of a conductive material, are designed to draw in the AEE charge from the atmospheric static electricity field and direct it into the building. It's not just a lightning rod. Forget about Benjamin Franklin's 1753 lightning rod. This structure, existing centuries before Franklin, still captures a charge. The secret? The Fiddly Bit has a wire grounding. If those spires were merely for looks, twisted ones like this wouldn't make sense. But the AEE harvesting theory sheds light on why these structures were built this way. Next part of the formula to accumulate AEE is to place a dome, or steeple, or both underneath the antenna. Big clocks on these buildings might have served as tuners for the advanced Antiqui-Tech system. Once the AEE is collected in the domed ceiling, it's channeled into the building. One way involves metal rods connected to the domes, ending with a filament that lights up when hit by this subtle current. Now, to spread the beneficial AEE gathered in the building, Those urn-like structures on the roof corners? They're probably chemical batteries collecting and distributing without wires. The easiest way it is to use a sound. Play the big pipe organ to a line and direct the effects for those inside. Or ring the church bells to send the vibes all around the area. These buildings used to have fantastic sound qualities before modern renovations mess things up. Inside the cathedral, the building's acoustics mix with the gathered energy, creating vibrations that might be used for healing and maybe even protection. If cathedrals have those aerials, domes, and bell towers for a healthy power grid, why not set up other buildings the same? Surprisingly, you can spot houses, especially mansions, schools, mostly private ones, and civic buildings like courthouses and old post offices that include these elements in slightly different ways. Take a look at the pipe organ in the Biltmore Estate in Manhattan, supposedly built between 1889 and 1895. They played it from sunrise to bedtime whenever the family was round. Another interesting aspect of these elaborate mansions and palaces are the non-wood burning fireplaces. Take a look at pipe organ and fireplace 2-in-1 at Vanderbilt Mansion in New York. At first glance, it seems like a regular fireplace, but a closer look shows they're shallow, with a big metal plate instead of brick at the back, often decorated with intricate art. They also have andirons, not for log grates like modern fireplaces, but they appear to function as regulators and/or transmitters. Looking at old mansions with working Antiqui-Tech, I noticed furniture isn't ranged around the fireplace like in modern homes. It seems the climate control from AE kept the rooms at a consistent temperature. It is hard to find any pictures of these AEE devices. Without fire damage, they were never built for fires. In Paris, this one has been preserved in its original condition, with metal plate and andiron transmitters. You can spot these climate control devices from outside buildings because they have flat, narrow chimneys focused on circulation, unlike the wider chimneys of modern times designed for smoke removal. Maybe this is why these Antiqui-Tech buildings often end up catching fire after being converted to tell apart genuine old empire. Like Tartarian residential architecture from modern one, I check for key features. Metal or stone protrusions on top, let's call them Fiddly Bits. Like antennas, flat chimneys. Not enough for traditional heating in such big buildings. Dormers and towers on the roof for gathering and spreading atmospheric etheric energy. Big entryways, can't say if giants built them, but they're always there. The tricky part is the Tartarian theory, suggesting that lots of these beloved Antiqui-Tech structures were built by the Tartar or Tatar Empire. They supposedly spread their AEE technology along coasts and major rivers globally. I'm not entirely sure if the Tartarians built all this architecture, but since their empire mysteriously disappeared from history books, it's a good place to start. Gotta admit, they sure had some fancy fiddly bits if the current story about how the Americas were discovered doesn't hold up. Could it mean another civilization settled here way before Europeans claimed they discovered it? Maybe they not only erased entire cultures from history, but also took over their architecture and pretended it was theirs? Following photo shows Tartarians meeting the Jesuits. While I'm uncertain if the Tartarians constructed all these structures, I prefer the term Old Empire civilizations plural because I believe there were multiple. The controllers intentionally reset civilizations, enslaving the affected population and moving them to deserted cities. Looking at lots of construction photos of these peculiar structures, I've noticed some common features. Windows and entrances a bit below ground, main focus on towers, domes, and roofs. Walls still they're usually old stone, but no signs of recent masonry work. Quite curious how numerous US robber barons built or got hold of these old empire buildings early in their careers. only to later decide they were too pricey to keep and tore them down within 30 years. Makes you think, maybe their top controller priority was finding and taking over these existing buildings, then methodically taking apart their energy features to showcase at World's Fairs? While a few got to enjoy the energy benefits, the rest were stuck with risky power sources until the modern electrical grid came along, ensuring society depended on easily controlled oil, gas, and coal. Once they introduced the new meter technology, conveniently, big fires in major cities destroyed a lot of evidence of the existing Antiqui-Tech structures. The remaining civic structures were included in the grand World's Fairs and expositions held in every major city. Around the turn of the century, once the event was over, the controllers dismantled all but a few choice old empire structures, or they simply moved them and used them for their country clubs. Seriously, honestly, it's quite disheartening to think if we've been fed lies, missing out on comfortable, disease-free cities and clean energy. It's even more frustrating to see how these impressive old empire buildings were taken over by the usurpers for their shady dealings. In knowledge, there's hope, and I really hope the growing evidence could be challenging their story. Make sure to subscribe for more stories like this one. Like and share as all your support is much appreciated. Till next time.